start to the program, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody who helped us out with the phone call segment of the show receives both these Late Night with David Letterman sponges and also the Late Night with David Letterman facial blotters. And I understand we have a new shipment of the facial blotters in, ladies and gentlemen. So there you are. Aside from being one of the best talk show guests ever, my first guest tonight was a writer and a performer on your show of shows. This gentleman created the Dick Van Dyke Show, and he has also directed such films as Oh God, The Jerk, and Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. It's a pleasure now to welcome Mr. Carl Reiner.
Hello. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. I feel so bad. It's the best thing I ever did on your show. I did it back there just now.
No, what was that?
They were playing, and I got so inspired by that music. I don't hear this kind of music very often, that close. And I want to show you what I was doing right back at this little pillar. If you'll do it again, I will attempt to do what I was doing back there. Is this a good area where it's smooth and...
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
You can actually...
Okay, go ahead. Just... I knew how good it was, and I felt so bad wasting it back there.
Yeah. You know,
yes.
The nice thing... The nice thing about that is not everybody can do that and look good, you know. That's the real trick.
And another thing, first of all, I am a very big fan of yours. Steve Martin is a very big fan of yours, and he asked me to ask you whether you consider the monologue stupid animal tricks.
See, now that's
what he asked me to ask you, but I don't know what that means. But why I'm interested in this show is that I love it. I always watch the Carson show in bed, and see how I'm breathing?
Yeah.
10 years ago, I wouldn't be breathing.
Well, that was strenuous work.
No, but it's interesting. I see your monologue. I see the little fooling around. The first guest, around this time, I fall asleep.
No.
So I have very rarely, I've never seen most of your show. About this time...
No.
No, and it's wonderful to be able to see somebody you like and see what you do after. No, I wasn't. It just occurred to me. I see much of your show.
Speaking of that, let me ask you about this introduction. I always like to clarify the introduction. Yes. One of the best talk show guests ever. Was there a competition recently?
No, I think that started because Johnny Carson said once that I was one of the people you like to have on because I'm like a self-starter. Mm-hmm. If you, God forbid, should have a heart attack and die right here, I will keep the show moving. And I'll make it, because I'm a producer, I'll make it exciting. I'll say, get a doctor quickly, move him out, and they won't know you're dead. I'll just sit here and do the show. So, I mean, I'm to be trusted.
Yeah, that's very reassuring that you can say that. Yeah.
And if I die, I hope you'll do the same for me.
I would,
keep the show moving. I don't want...
I would...
Another thing is I'm going to try something. You see, we're sitting...
It's
we're
not
really
awkward.
It's
very strange.
A little awkward. I don't think it's ever been done. I do try things. On the Carson show one night, I tried the two of us just staring at the audience for as long, without saying, we looked for about 2.5 minutes without saying a word, hoping people would say, hey, May, come in here. These guys are not going to talk. Yeah. We did it for about 3 minutes, and he lost heart, but we did get laughs. This has never been done before.
Oh, this is great. I'm excited about something that's never been done before.
Never been done before.
Okay.
This is the way we usually interview Merv, McDouglas. It's always this.
Merv is back there, by the way, in case I die of a heart attack.
Okay.
Merv will come right
Believe me, you won't need him. I'll carry on. Merv, you don't have... But nobody has ever interviewed in the direction, this direction. You're getting that? Watch what I mean. Take this away.
Take this away.
I don't think anybody... Now let's... We should conduct exactly the interview you were going to conduct, but I'll be here.
Okay. And you'll have to get up a little.
I don't know what it looks like, but it's different.
If somebody all right. It looks all right. No,
okay. And all right. Okay.
Geez, I've never been this close to another man's head in my life. This is strange, isn't it?
You might get to like it.
Yeah, it's
now. Well, don't now. See, for it to really be effective, don't keep saying this is strange. Act like it's not strange, and an interview...
Just like this is the way we would...
Yes, because my head is now... The blood is rushing to my head.
Okay, so we'll just go on with the interview.
The interview, just to...
Have you ever given blood before, Carl? Now, that's...
No,
see,
the
I
reason
feel
I'm
better.
doing this is because, in the interest of staying alive, the blood was rushing to my head, and I was starting to black out. So, but I think this is still a good... Is this a good
All right.
camera
No,
position?
this is fine with me.
Okay,
This
go ahead.
is fine.
Well, and it's more the way I feel at night watching the show anyway, so
Yeah.
it's good.
All right, now...
And if my hand goes out of the frame, I'm married. Okay.
Okay, now,
Yes.
now tell me about creating... Now, what do I look at exactly here on this?
Well, I mean, look at the back of my head.
All right. Now let's talk about your hairpiece. You're not wearing it tonight, are you?
No, because I'm not self-conscious about the fact I'm bald. I'm rather proud of the fact that I was the first man to shave my head. I have a full head of hair, but somebody once told me bald men are sexier, and so I shaved my head hoping that women would flock to me. I'm waiting. Hasn't happened.
So as yet the results on that experiment are
No.
not conclusive. Okay.
The man with two brains. Oh, you didn't ask me what my next picture was. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
In this position, you don't hear as well as you might.
Yeah. Let me.
You hear things that are not being asked.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's. Why don't you just?
Yes.
Why don't you just make your stay right there, and we're going to go away for a commercial. We'll be back with.
When I come back, I will be in a different position.
Oh, so, all right.
Not the regular position.
Carl Reiner is here, and John Cleese will also be joining us later in the program. Now, what do you want to execute?
But I think
now?
in keeping with the premise, because we ask very few questions, and nobody's really interested in what I'm doing.
Oh, no, well,
They're
I'm
here to
interested.
have fun. So I think the questions work best in those strange positions. Let me try
Okay.
getting on your shoulders. Can you hold me?
Yeah.
Can you hold?
Now.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Yes. Well,
Now-
now ask the question so they'll know what we're doing. It only becomes funny if we act. No, one shot doesn't make it.
You've.
You can cut that out.
Now, you've done this before, haven't you?
No, I've never been on anybody's shoulders before. No.
Oh,
What were you going to ask?
I was going to ask you about when you created the Dick Van Dyke Show. You know, I'm losing feeling in the left side of my body.
I'll tell you.
Why, you...
No. Let's be a little more authentic. I'll sit on a chair.
All right.
Okay.
Sit up there.
Okay. This way.
Now,
I feel a lot more venerable up here.
Now, these are...
Well, no, the thing is, you really did this yourself by you calling me a legend.
That's right.
This makes you feel more like a legend. You're on a throne. You're above everybody else. So we might as well do it from here. Yes.
All right. Now, you actually have you are the first person to assume these three positions on the show.
Right.
All right. Now, back
And by the way, in the last segment, it's a little later. We can go into the sexual positions, which we will
Go into the what did you say?
Sexual positions, which we won't do now. When everybody's asleep. Yes.
Now, tell me about creating the Dick Van Dyke Show. You were actually going to be the star of that, weren't you?
You know, yes, I was. And they found out I was not as good as Dick Van Dyke was going to be, and there was no chance. I've said this so many times that I bore myself, and the Dick Van Dyke Show was, as you know, like myself, a legend. I mean, I only deal, Sid Caesar is a legend. I only deal with legends, which suggests that if you stay on long enough and keep these clips, you too will be a legend.
That's right.
Because
now, how long do you think that would take for us to stay on and be a legend with these?
Oh, no more than 30, 40 years, the way you're going. I mean, no, because he's very good. He's wonderful, but every year he adds 3 new viewers who will never leave him. No, I mean, he is, but it takes time because he is so clever. It becomes, it's a little difficult to be aware how good you are because you are subtle and funny and you're brilliant, but it's going to take time. And I only hope that there are people running NBC who are as smart as your audience. See?
Oh, that's isn't it? I mean, there's not a word of truth in that load of crap. It's
Now, how do you handle that?
what are we doing now? We're good. Oh, thank God.
You're still almost
We're going away again.
forever.
No. Carl and I will be back after station identification. Thank you very much. Carl Reiner is here. John Cleese will be joining us, and tomorrow night Ron Luciano, former Major League umpire, will be here. He'll be sitting on me also. And screenwriter Marshall Brickman. Do you know Marshall Brickman?
I know him very well. He used to be a writer on the Carson Show. I met him when he was a young writer.
And he will be here tomorrow night.
Person.
Yes, sir. And you've taken your shoes off now. What's next?
Well, I just did that because in the keeping with the premise of everything being a little different tonight.
That's right.
No guest has ever kept his shoes on here, hoping they will get shined, but they won't. I know that.
No.
but I mean, they're just there, and I'll take them when I go home. They're just there. You don't have to do anything about them.
Those are nice.
Yeah, they're there. It's different. We want to be different.
Yeah. Now, how far have you gone undressing? Just not that you have to undress now, but on television in America, how
naked have I?
Yeah.
The most naked I've ever been was when I went to a friend's house. Millie Schoenbaum was her name, and she said, as I walked through the door of a Bronx apartment 35 years ago, or 30 years ago, she said very loud across the room, and there were about 30 people sitting around. She meant to say, "Take your coat off," and she says, "Take your clothes off." And in 30 seconds, I was down to just underwear. It was a winter day. I took my overcoat.
Yeah.
But everybody heard it said, "Take your clothes off, Carl." That's as most naked as I've been in front of other humans.
Yeah, but nothing on television then.
Not even at home with my wife. She's never seen me. I refuse.
I admire a man who sticks to his principles like that.
Well, I believe, don't take your clothes unless you can get a big laugh. And I know I can't get a big laugh with my clothes on. No, because I'm very exciting. People get so interested. They stare, and they don't laugh. And I'm a comedian, basically. If I take my clothes off, I want to laugh.
Now,
I don't want adulation. I don't want applause. I want laughter. So I leave my clothes on.
Now, how far would you go right now, though, if you had to? If somebody said...
Okay. Well, now, I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you my problem. If I took my clothes, taking my clothes out, I'd get it off in 30 seconds, really. Because I was in a Broadway show, 17 changes, and I made some in 30 seconds, from marine outfit to tux and top hat.
Did you bring your marine outfit?
No. But I'm going to catch a plane back to California. The trick that I'm looking to do, and I hope to get it in the Guinness Book of Records, is to finish the show here, get on a plane, get home, watch your show, and fall asleep when I'm supposed to at the same time. Being in New York and California, it'd be wonderful. Yeah. And if I took my clothes off, it'd take time to put them back on. So that's the only reason. But some other time, if one or two selected ones of you would come back to my dressing room and you let me do the selecting, we can work something out. But not for everybody.
All right. Okay. Well,
yes.
You go back to California, full well understanding that you've disappointed 280-some people here tonight.
The zipper is stuck. A young lady... No, the zipper got stuck. I'm sorry. I would have.
Phoning the authorities before you know it.
No, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you the absolute truth. I'm the heaviest I've ever been in my whole life. And I am going to take my clothes off on your show. And I will not take them off on any other show before I take them off on your show.
All right.
But I want to get back to 175 pounds. I'm 187
All right,
now.
when you drop
175,
those pounds,
I will be here.
12 pounds, you come back.
Yes, I'll be right.
Can we get that in the TV guide in time? We'll have that right before Barry White Camping Day, and then... Now, we have a bit of film, old film, kinescope, or whatever this may be.
This is a surprise to me.
This is a surprise to
like
you.
my sitting on your shoulders was
That's
a surprise
right.
to you.
This is you and Mr. Mel Brooks, I believe,
Yeah.
and since it is a surprise, you don't know much about it?
No, I don't know where it's
I understand
from.
it's pretty much self-contained, but it's from some television performance.
Way back, I imagine, because
Well,
we haven't done it in years.
All right, let's take a look. This would be, with his clothing on,
Yes.
Mr. Carl Reiner and his friend Mel Brooks.
Next you see me, my shoes...
Drove to the war.
I was very interested because I was wearing a toupee there. See, that was my hair up to here, but that was dark, and the rest was a dark...
You're still a very good-looking man, but you two guys together, very stunning appearance. I mean, no,
Yeah, Mel was better looking than I remembered.
Mel looks, he looks very good, and you look
He
very
must
good.
have been good looking. He got Anne Bancroft to marry him. She must have seen something in him that I didn't. Because I had my chances with him, I just never bothered.
What was that from? Do you have any recollection?
I think it was a Timex special. Johnny Carson was the host. I think Joyce Brothers was on in a sketch, and Buddy Hackett. Somebody mentioned the fact backstage. I did know the show was from, but I didn't know what we did. And I would never remember any of those jokes.
Do you remember roughly how long ago that was?
Oh, before Mel was a big hit, before Blazing Saddles, before the producers, I think.
Yeah.
It would have been the 50s. No, early, about 61 or 2, imagine.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you, sir.
It's
I
a
don't
pleasure
think
meeting
we've
you.
ever actually met.
Yes, we see that? How I, an important person, would remember him, and he was not that important. Mary Tyler Moore show. You were on the Mary Tyler. I was a guest star on the first show.
That's
you
right.
were there.
That's right.
I heard you, and I said, that man is really funny.
Yeah,
and you never said that about me.
Well, no, they came around before the show and they said Carl would like you to stay away.
We've been holding hands a little longer than is necessary. I'm beginning to
It
worry.
ain't that bad. Thank you very much, Carl Reiner, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Come back again, Carl. We'll be right back with John Cleese after this. Thank you, folks.
My next guest was the first person on this program to sit on my head. Of course, it's been done a lot in private, but aside from that, that was an unfortunate slip. Now, aside from that, this gentleman is a talented actor, a writer, and a director. His latest film, which I saw this morning, is a wonderfully funny bit of work. He co-wrote and directed it. It stars Mr. Steve Martin and is entitled The Man with Two Brains. Please welcome Carl Reiner.
That Bob Godwin?
Godwin, yes, sir.
Yes. He blew something, didn't he, on poor old Bert?
About the hairpiece.
Yes, but did you notice his hair? I mean...
No, I didn't. You wanna take a look at it?
Take a look at it. I don't... can we get a shot of Bob Godwin? Because I think he has no right to talk. Where is Bob Godwin?
There he is.
Now turn sideways, Bob. Turn sideways. Turn sideways. Better a good-looking toupee that blows off than a silly-looking haircut. And I'd like to meet that other fellow because I think it's very important. He's a big fan of the Van Dyke Show.
Yep.
I would like to give him the thrill of meeting the creator of the Dick Van Dyke Show. It'll be very good for him.
All right.
I shake his hand.
You want to do that now? All right. That was very nice.
Oh, what a thrill he got.
Yep.
I could feel him.
He came all the way from Easton, Pennsylvania. Was it Dan Reeves? Was that your name? Reese. Nice to see you again, Dan. That was very nice of you.
Oh, that's what I do.
Is there any Is there anything else you want to cover in the studio before we get into...
No. But, you know, did you see me on the Carson show last Friday?
No.
You don't. You're busy working. Well, I talked to Carson, and I admitted to him that I sat on your head. And I told him, I said, there was a great guilt. I felt I was cheating on him. You see, I've been on the show so many times. We're friends. I know him.
Right.
And I figured if I was going to sit on anybody's head, it should be somebody I knew better and cared about.
Yeah.
I mean, I like you, but I really love that. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And I felt like I cheated on my wife.
Now, how did he...
He was hurt. His eyes went down. So I sat below his desk just to make him feel that I'd sit in a strange place for him, too.
Yeah, but between you and me, that's not as good as sitting on your head.
As a matter of fact, if the truth be told, he's not strong enough to hold me anymore. He's getting on. I knew when I got up there, you would hold me and I wouldn't fall over. But don't let him know that.
Well, geez, that's interesting. Now, do you have sat on anybody else?
No. Oh,
yeah.
Once I sat on your head, it's your head from now on. That's it.
I consider this...
If I'm going to sit on anybody's head, it's going to be yours.
Thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate it. And that's just the kind of guy you are.
That's
I know
right.
I saw your film this morning. It's amazingly funny. And
thank you.
And you directed it and wrote it?
I don't like you saying amazingly. I'm supposed to do funny things.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, but no, I know exactly what you're saying. Because, no, really, I'm here to plug. There's no question about it. But it is the funniest picture I've done to date as far as laughs per minute.
Now, it would be different if I said surprisingly funny.
Yes,
but
right.
No, but it was amazingly funny.
Yes, well, thank you.
But what I wanted to say was I've seen and heard things that you have said about the star of the film, Steve Martin, about it's sort of kind of whiny, negative, little nitpicky kind of things.
Well, you see, a lot of people... I worked many years with him, and in the first couple of pictures I did with him, it was, I don't know, you don't like to knock people, so I would always say nice, pleasant things about him, but now it's the third picture, and the truth has to come out. I don't like lying. I was not saying that he was really a nice guy. I would say he's very pleasant, we had a nice time. Now I've been telling the truth about him. He is just not a pleasant person. He's not a good person. He's very cheap. He's penurious.
Penurious?
He doesn't own a second change of underwear. He doesn't own it. You showed new socks today?
I have new socks.
Yeah, he doesn't own socks. He borrows other people's socks. He steals. He's been to my house many times. He takes things. And the only reason I know is I go to his house and I say, I got one just like that. Wait a minute, is that mine?
Yeah.
I mean, he's that kind of guy.
Ooh.
He badmouths. He hasn't ever done an original joke. Every one of the jokes is stolen from old friends who are not working anymore because he's stolen their whole act.
Wow.
I mean, he's just not a good person. Now, you see how everybody's attentive now? We really like to hear bad things about anybody, whether it's a lie or not.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather hear bad things about somebody than good things? Of course. Much more interesting. Whole newspapers are built on that premise.
Yeah. So now I'm confused. None of that was true, or it was all true?
None of it was true.
Oh, darn.
But it was all true.
All right, well, I tell you what, while we ponder the duplicity of that, whatever that means, we're coming back. Carl Reiner will be sitting on my head just minutes from now, ladies and gentlemen. So, hang on a second. Carl Reiner is here, and Sandra Bernhardt will be here, whom you know and met and know.
Very talented young lady.
And the Playboy advisor, Jim Peterson, will be joining us on this program tonight. Now, we're going to take a look at some of the movie, The Man with Two Brains. Why don't you explain this to the folks, what we got here?
I'll try to explain. This particular, I think the one we're going to see is Steve Martin is racing through the streets of Vienna on his way to a laboratory to save the life of his wife, Kathleen Turner. There's the body in the back seat. You'll see a moment of her. She's lying there. And he stopped...
This is the woman from
Body Heat.
Body Heat.
Yes, a brilliant actress, and she's marvelous in the film, as you might attest. The cop stopped him because he's going too fast, but he's got to get to the laboratory to save her life. And this is the moment, I think, where the policeman stop him in Vienna.
All right. From the motion picture, The Man with Two Brains, soon to be released, I understand.
Friday.
Now, there's something very funny just before that also, which I guess they had to take out for time, but was the subtitles.
Well, we took it out only because we didn't think you could read it. When the policeman stops him, he talks in German. He says, "Du Volksgeschwagen, kann ich zusammen sein license?" And he says, "Huh?" And he repeats it. Underneath it says, "You're going too fast." In subtitles, "Well, may I see your license?" And he says, "I'm sorry." He says, "Oh, you speak English." And he turns to the other policeman. He says, "They can schießen with the subtitle now." And it says, "You can stop the subtitles now." And then he looks down and he says, "Ah, there's more rooms on there now."
It's very funny, very funny. We got to pause for station identification. I know it seems like a lot of interruptions.
No,
but,
I don't have to pause. While you're pausing, I'll do a lot of things.
Carl will be entertaining the studio audience, and we'll be right back. Don't worry about nothing. Well, tonight on Late Night, viewer mail, Robert Klein and the president of the Chad Everett Fan Club. And if you've never seen the world's largest vase, this is your last chance before it leaves on its European tour.
Let me see what song is better. Has it? To sing more for you, but
that was
oh, thank you.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. A lot of guests come, and during the commercials, they sit
yes.
and they look at the cameras,
right.
they talk to Paul.
Right.
But this man, ladies and gentlemen, across this great country of ours, just sang his heart out, and again, gosh, that was nice. Very nice. And you don't. It's interesting. You don't get a nickel more for doing it, but it's just
no. I was happy to just meet your two guests out in the audience tonight.
What a decent human being
and
you
to
are.
sing 4 songs like that is
very impressive work. Let me ask you about before you were singing, we saw the drunk test.
Yes.
Now, when you were writing early in your television days,
yes.
and you would come up with a sketch for a particular show, do any of those have a way of finding a place in movies that you're doing now?
The sketches, no, but the training comes in.
Yeah.
You do get to know, as you live life, you get to know many tricks of the trade, they call it, and every form of comedy. And certain things resurface, and they resurface differently. As in music, how many notes are there? 9 notes, 8 notes, something like that. Right, 8, 9 notes. And it's the way you juxtapose them. Well, there are about 20 good jokes, 10 plots. And you do variations on the theme. There's basically... We are human beings with 2 legs, 2 arms, and we can just get angular a certain way. And now him doing a drunk test, that was something like it must have happened before. I am not making much sense, but after singing an aria like that, I mean, I just can't think of anything but my opera, you know.
The last time you were here, I think it was just about the time that My Favorite Year had, no, it had been out for a while.
Right.
And this deals with a very important part of your life, that particular motion picture. Did you see the film, Carl?
My Favorite Year?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
And was that the way it was for you guys working on that show?
Not really. I mean, it was somebody's perception of how it was,
Yeah.
but they reconstituted the time pretty well, but it was not. Well, in those days, if we had done a gangster sketch, this was a sketch idea. If we had done a gangster sketch, no gangster would have come in and said, you can't do a gangster sketch or we'll wreck your studio. It was based on that whole thing was based on a sketch. The whole movie was based on a sketch idea, which worked. And it was so good humored and the performances were so great that it really worked. But if Mel Brooks, who was the producer of the picture, if he had written it himself, would have had a different tone. But,
yeah. Would you like to take another pass at the topic area?
See, now you're talking about something interesting. When I watched it, I was a little saddened by the fact that that time was used by somebody, and we can't talk about that time for a while now. Maybe a year or two from now, somebody will, maybe Sid Caesar himself would want to reconstitute the times.
Well, that's an era in television that people just keep talking about and talking about and talking about.
Well,
so like
the ones
said,
who are still alive do.
Yeah.
You know, these kids don't talk about it. They weren't there. But we have a museum now that you can go down and see these films.
Yeah. Here at the Broadcasting
Yeah,
Museum?
the Broadcasting Museum, yes. Someday you'll be in that museum. That vase and you together standing, you'll be holding the vase.
By the way, I can probably get your pass if you want to go back and look at the.
Oh, could you?
Vase.
You know
Yes.
why? Because
now don't tell everybody this, but you could get one.
Because I don't want to go when the crowds start coming.
I know.
The crush.
I know.
You know, it's like the
gonna be
Picasso
unbelievable.
exhibit. You know,
Yeah.
going to the Picasso exhibit, you couldn't see it. By the time they'll come, you won't be able to see the vase. There'll be too many people standing around it.
I'll slip you in the back
Okay,
way.
please, please.
Carl Reiner, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Carl Reiner. Very nice man, and it was darn nice of him to sing like that. That ought to be house policy.
Thank you, Robert.
Right here? Right here? All week long, as North American television viewers are well aware, we have had the honor of housing the world's largest... we've had the honor of... now we're in real trouble. Well...
Had the honor of what?
well, we
Had the honor of what? You had the honor of what?
I was just going to say, if we could be serious now, I'd like to talk about the problem of world hunger and...
My 60-year-old knees are killing me.
Well, you could...
I'd like to leave now, if I may.
Well, sure, you could...
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Oh, but it was... Thank you very much. Excuse me. Now, do I owe you anything for that? Carl Reiner, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. From time to time, I have a man drop by in a nicely pressed sport coat and sit on my head. It's one of the things that makes this country great, ladies and gentlemen. Why doesn't he do that to Ted Koppel? One night, just break in, shove his way into Nightline, and sit on Ted's head for once. Carl Reiner, he was here last night, and apparently, well, obviously, has nothing to do, so he's here again tonight. Now, do we have time for this, or? All right. All week long, we've had...